Coming up tonight, the Commissioner of Police says marijuana arrests will continue. Meanwhile, a top health official suggests more restrictive measures to fight COVID-19. And we have the story of a very special educator.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, days after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced that government will begin the process of expunging the records of those convicted of small amounts of marijuana next year. Police Commissioner Paul Roll says until laws change, you will be locked up for that offence. Kyle Joaquin has more.
The Commissioner of Police is answerable to the law, and until the law changes, if you're found with dope, you can get locked up.
As the Prime Minister stopped short of saying whether or not the government will move ahead with the recommendation of the Economic Recovery Committee for the full legalization of marijuana for medicinal, religious, and recreational purposes, Police Commissioner Paul Roll says there's no telling when or if government will decriminalize it. And despite Minnis' statement that records will be expunged beginning next year for those found with small amounts of it, Roll says as it stands now, marijuana is illegal and police will continue to lock up those found with it in their possession, regardless of how small the amount.
There's only specifics that will be exempted. It's not that everybody will be able to go out and puff a joint. That will still be illegal. You look at the recommendations and see what those are.
The Bahamas National Commission on Marijuana and the Economic Recovery Committee both indicated that the Bahamas' laws on marijuana are outdated and must change.
It reached that point, Parliament would, of course, have to pass legislation to amend the Dangerous Drug Act or create a new expungement act. Right now we have the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act.
Every year, many young men are hauled before the courts charged with possession of dangerous drugs, mostly marijuana, ranging in amounts from small to major busts. But with several nations in the region moving towards decriminalizing the plan for various uses, the Bahamas government is now mulling over which direction it will take. Until it does, Roll says the police force has a job to do.
So I don't know which course they are going to take, but whatever, I'm answerable to it.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Thanks, Kyle. Well, as COVID-19 numbers continue to soar on New Providence, Director of the Infectious Diseases Program, Dr. Nakia Forbes, says to curb the spread of the virus, other restrictive measures may be helpful. Bethany McDermott has that.
Amid high COVID-19 numbers and a rise in hospitalizations, Director of the Infectious Disease Program, Dr. Nakia Forbes, says it may be time for increased measures. While noting that this is not her decision to make, Forbes says residents' movement throughout the day should be revisited to help curb the spread.
I say that for us to stop the spread of this, we have to look at mobility during how people are moving during the day also. And of course, if other measures were put in to reduce movements during the day, to look at how safe workplaces can be amended, adapted, safe ways for businesses to open, that may be helpful.
On Thursday, the Ministry of Health revealed that there are 130 COVID-19 related deaths and 122 cases were hospitalized. That day also saw an additional 133 confirmed cases of the virus, pushing the total number of cases to 6,268. Well, in light of Forbes' comments, we took to the streets today, and some residents say tighter restrictions on movement through the week will not bother them.
The only way is if you lock it down for a period of time when nobody goes anywhere.
They could do it. Only the people who need to be moving around could move around, I guess. So I think that's a good thing. They need to really tighten it up so people will understand this thing is very, very, very serious.
Whatever government do it now, all is well.
Earlier this month, the Prime Minister implemented a 7 p.m. curfew and full weekend lockdowns on New Providence and Abaco. When asked if the measures are working, Forbes says it's too soon to tell.
It's difficult to know the benefit of these lockdowns until you get within one incubation period or two incubation periods of COVID-19, and that's 14 days. So when we see that was applied, it still is within or before the first incubation period is fully over. So it's hard to know the benefit of measures outside of that.
Residents were split on how effective the new restrictions have been.
No, because you have all day to do what foolishness you want to do. And so you locking me down at 7 o'clock in the night. I didn't do all my crap. I didn't been where I wanted to go. I don't think it's helping at all.
The young people not listening. Every young people hear what the Prime Minister say, everything will come together. You understand? I'm an old woman, I don't go nowhere, so this don't affect me.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
A man was charged with murder and attempted murder before Magistrate Ambrose on Brister this afternoon. Ricardo Fredericks was charged with the October 16th killing of Devon Brown and the attempted killing of Javon Roll. The 26-year-old was not required to enter a plea and was not represented by an attorney. During his arraignment, Fredericks claimed that he has an alibi for the time that the killing took place. Brister promised him that he would give him a chance to put that alibi on the record when he served with his voluntary bill of indictment. Fredericks then said, "They stick this murder on me. I don't have a problem with these people." Brister explained that he didn't have jurisdiction to address Fredericks' claim as they were matters for trial. He'll return to court on the 1st of December for that VBI. Meanwhile, the House of Assembly will meet as scheduled on Monday, even with the majority of cabinet ministers in quarantine. They were exposed to Works Minister Desmond Bannister, who tested positive for COVID-19. However, Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest said Parliament may have to go virtual in the very near future. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Deputy Prime Minister confirmed that the House of Assembly will meet as planned on Monday with those MPs who were not placed in mandatory quarantine. It is expected that those who are present will debate the resolution to extend the state of emergency until the end of November, as the current state of emergency expires at the end of the month.
The House will meet with those members that are not in quarantine as we look at the overall setup of Parliament to see how we might be able to take that also to a virtual setting. So we're going to have to use some very creative measures to go forward.
On Wednesday, the Cabinet Office announced that all cabinet ministers, including the Prime Minister and staff who came into contact with Bannister, will quarantine. Bannister, who was absent from the House of Assembly on Wednesday, attended Cabinet on Tuesday. Bannister is the second minister to test positive for COVID. Minister of the Environment and Housing Ramal Ferreira tested positive on October 5th. Ferreira's positive diagnosis had also prompted some members of Cabinet to be quarantined. Turnquest, who was a guest on RTV's On the Record, says moving forward, for now, Cabinet will be held virtually.
The Cabinet will meet virtually, as we have done before during the first lockdown.
As for their roles as ministers during quarantine, the DPM says everyone is working from home, fully engaged in their ministries.
From a government perspective, that is the management of the various agencies and ministries, we're able to interact with our staff, as we're doing here today, very effectively, and we've had no real challenges in that regard.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, amid speculation over his political future, House Speaker Halson Moultrie says he's confident he will receive another nomination from the Free National Movement ahead of the next general election. He says F&M will not win the Nassau Village seat if he is not the candidate. Berthany McDermott has that.
And so, if they choose not to nominate me, then I most certainly could predict that the party that I'm affiliated with, if they don't nominate me in Nassau Village, they most certainly will not win that seat.
House Speaker Alston Moultrie expressing confidence that if the governing Free National Movement does not nominate him as its candidate for the Nassau Village constituency in the next general election, the party will not win that seat. Questions about Moultrie's future with the party arose after he invited the government to move a motion of no confidence in him and said he will turn in his office keys on October 31st if improvements aren't made to his office, which has a leaky roof and no running water. The Nassau Village Member of Parliament has also criticized the lack of independence of Parliament. However, he feels the F&M will have no other choice but to give him another nomination.
I believe if you make yourself indispensable and relevant, the party that you are affiliated with wouldn't have much option when it comes to nominating you. I believe that I will make myself indispensable, and I believe that I will be the best representative that Nassau Village has had in many decades.
However, at this time, Moultrie says another nomination is not his concern.
It doesn't matter if I don't get a nomination in the next election if the executive feels that I'm out of line or out of order. It doesn't matter to me. Matter of fact, I can give myself a nomination if I choose to run again. So I don't have to be affiliated with any party.
Moultrie, who has been criticized on several occasions for comments he made from the chair, says he feels the House Speaker should not be affiliated with any party after being appointed to the position.
The Speaker really should not be affiliated with any party after he becomes the Speaker. But our democracy has not matured to that extent where the Speaker would resign from the party that he won his seat with when he is elected as Speaker. In the more mature democracies, that is the case.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. More news on the way, but here's a first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good night, Greg.
I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Outside our studios, current conditions, we are under partly cloudy skies, temperature around 79 degrees Fahrenheit after temperatures made it into the upper 80s. Winds out of the east-southeast at 10 knots. Your feels-like temperature around 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Satellite-wise, moisture from the western Caribbean spreading across Cuba and into the central portions of the Bahamas, generating some showers and thunderstorms, all associated with the broad area of low pressure in that area. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, more dumped oil found in East Grand Bahama. Plus, has a spike in COVID cases impacted visitor interest in the Bahamas? Find out after this.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All-day football, all-day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
As investigations continue into the source of oil dumped in East Grand Bahama, workers clearing an area discovered even more oil seeping into the water table yesterday. Kyle Joaquin has a story.
It was a normal day for workers clearing an area in East Grand Bahama yesterday. That is, until they stumbled upon a hole filled with oil, and a lot of it.
That's how deep it's going under. Okay. So we'll have to take out all of this, try to get to it before it damages the water table.
It's believed this is another case of illegal oil dumping that is currently being investigated by police on the island to determine the source.
They dumped the oil here. When it rained, had a little cave under there, and the oil went under the cave. So now we cleaned it up, now it's coming back out. So we have to get an excavator and cut this out so we can get all the oil out of there. And the water table is very low around here, so we have to do it quick so it don't get to the water table.
Lionel Smith of Sanitation and Solid Waste Management called it a sad sight as they have uncovered tons upon tons of oil that was just dumped there.
We had to bring heavy equipment and make sure that the land and the site behind me is properly done. And doing all of that, we discover now there's a hole that contains water and oil that we have to now take care of. And
the investigation is still underway to find who was responsible for the oil dumping. The Grand Bahama Port Authority has also come out condemning the act of illegal oil dumping. Smith says there's no reason for this type of dumping as there is a legal method.
Any persons who out there have a vac truck who's dealing with oil, the process is that you contact sanitation, and if sanitation somehow cannot take the oil, then we'll direct them someplace else. But sanitation at this time is the only place that you can bring oil to a store.
Meanwhile, cleanup is underway in the area. Environmentalists have expressed concern over the impact the dumping will continue to have on the environment as the oil makes its way into the water table.
Well, what we have to do here now is bring in another heavy equipment to try to see how much we can dig in the ground to see what level of oil and water is in the contents of the ground to avoid any more serious situation.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Thanks again, Kyle. Well, data collected by the Ministry of Tourism indicates the rapidly rising number of COVID-19 cases is not putting a damper on visitors' interest in the Bahamas. That's according to Tourism Director General Joy Jabrilu.
One of the things that we do at the Ministry of Tourism is follow the data, look at surveys. In fact, we conduct our own blind surveys as well, look at the market intelligence. And it is surprising. The Bahamas continues to be a destination that people are very, very interested in.
The Bahamas has recorded more than 6,200 cases since March. The majority of those cases were recorded after July 1st during what officials have called the second wave. Despite the high number of cases, the Tourism Director General says the Bahamas still appeals to visitors.
They're interested because the primary attraction at this period for people who want to travel from our number one source market is beach. They don't necessarily want to do it on a crowded, in a crowded space. So if you look at what we have to offer in the Bahamas, and if you look at the totality of the Bahamas, not just New Providence, not just Abaco, the beauty of us promoting 16 island destinations, so people say, I know about the Exumas, I know what their numbers are, I know about Long Island, even Cat Island, and we're able to market that.
When our news comes back from the break, we venture inside Grand Bahama's Beacon School as students return to the classroom. Stay with us.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
Welcome back. Face-to-face instruction during the COVID-19 pandemic has come with a new set of stringent measures for one Grand Bahama school. Despite the new safety protocols, students and teachers at the Beacon School say they're excited to be back in the classroom. Jillian Gray takes a look.
It feels good that I get to come out of the house and all that I get to be around my friends.
After a long summer break, students and teachers at the Beacon School in Grand Bahama are happy to be back in the classroom. Face-to-face learning at the special needs school began 2 weeks ago, and so far they say the new school year is off to a great start.
We're having such a wonderful time this year. It's difficult on everybody, but I make sure to come with a lot of energy every day. I come with love for the profession and love for my students, and they can see that and feel that, and they're excited about the program.
From autism to those with a traumatic brain injury, dyslexia, or cerebral palsy, the Beacon School caters to children with varying disabilities. Built in October of 1997, the school is celebrating 23 years. Principal T.T. McKinsey Moss said they started preparing for the return to the classroom in March, assembling a pandemic team of the school's nurse, parents, and staff to plan every aspect of their return, from drive-through drop-off to signs reminding the kids of the new safety measures.
In every classroom, we have sanitization stations with antibacterial soap, so students will wash their hands. And the good thing is that in the school, we have sinks in the classrooms, so the students wash their hands in the classrooms and the sinks.
Though 116 students are enrolled in the school, only 67 of them have showed up thus far. Wearing masks can sometimes be a challenge, but culinary teacher Jinda Bain said they found a solution for that as well.
I've set up stations, so each child is placed in a particular station. Once they've finished their task at that station, they can actually go take off their gloves, wash their hands, exit the room, and pull their mask down for a little bit to catch a breath.
Cooking, pottery, barbering, and agriculture are just some of the subjects taught to the students. Bain's student, 14-year-old Justin Miller, shared his favorite part of school.
I had to come inside the kitchen and afterwards I get to eat.
Miller said he wants to become a chef and start his own business, and that's not by chance. The school is designed to train students to be their own boss.
Our kids don't receive a diploma when they leave the school. They get a leaving certificate, and a lot of them don't obtain a BGC or BGCSE degree. So when they leave, they really don't have anything to sustain them. So we try to give them a trade, to try to, even though you may not be able to, let's say, work in a bank, but you can start your own business.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Thanks, Jillian. Well, a behavioral analyst who is pushing for more to be done to ensure that children with special needs get access to proper education says the consequences of not investing in them will be costly in the future.
How would it feel if you could not communicate your wants and needs and you could not get what you needed? You would be frustrated. You would start to have behaviors.
29-year-old Carla Gibson is a board-certified behavior analyst who works with children with autism, ADHD, brain injuries, and other behavioral issues.
We work on skill acquisition, so helping kids to learn new behaviors, and we also work on behavior reduction.
Gibson did her undergrad in special ed at the University of Georgia. From there, she got a master's from Columbia University. She moved home 4 years ago and opened her own ABA center, the Renee O'Neill Center for Child Development and Research.
What we believe in ABA is everything has a function, right? Everything has a function. So when you have a kid that's emitting those negative behaviors, there's a reason why.
Gibson Center features specialized classrooms with observation windows and cameras. They take children as young as 18 months old, and they customize a child's program based on an assessment conducted at enrollment.
In 1 to 2 years, we try to transition them back into their regular school setting with their appropriate grade with minimal supports.
Gibson was drawn to the profession through her own experience with a family member who had special needs. Since returning home, she's on the ground and has relationships with many schools and institutions that call on her expertise regularly. But the 29-year-old says special education is in a troubling state.
Everywhere you go, just overcapacity, right? And so I think that we have done a very poor job of keeping up with, one, the number of children that are being diagnosed with special needs. We have become very reactive. We're not proactive.
Gibson School is on the same property as the Hopedale School. They share a playground donated by Life for Key. Her message to Bahamians is clear. Children with autism who don't get therapy when they're young will grow up to be dependent on the state. Still to come, we've got a check on sports. Stay with us.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
In sports, a Thursday night football thriller goes right down to the wire. Marcellus Hall has that.
Well, the positive thing about having two bad teams play in a football game is that you could end up with a good game. That's exactly what happened as Thursday night football rolled around with two bottom dwellers in the NFC East. Let's take a look at the highlights. Thursday night football last night featuring a battle of the two worst teams record-wise in the NFL, Philadelphia Eagles and New York Giants. Both teams just one win apiece on the year and yet still in contention to actually win the NFC East. Eagles on the road, or rather on the board first as Carson Wentz scored on a 1-yard run. Giants responding as Daniel Jones connects on a 39-yard throw to Golden Tate. Second half, Giants looking to take control. They score on back-to-back touchdowns, a 1-yard run by Wayne Gallman and a 2-yard receiving touchdown to Sterling Shepard. Back, though, come the Eagles. Wentz finding Greg Ward in the end zone. And then this 18-yard dime to running back Boston Scott. Eagles erasing a 11-point deficit. They pull off the win 22-21. The victory puts the Eagles in first place at 2-4-1. Now, Week 7 action continues this Sunday as we take a look at your upcoming schedule. And don't forget, Game 3 of the World Series comes your way this evening. Dodgers going up against Tampa Bay. This series tied at 1 apiece. We'll see which team takes a 2-1 series lead. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marcellus Hall.
Thanks, Marcellus. Well, now we throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks, Jared. In our second look at weather, satellite-wise, broad area of low pressure system near the Cayman Islands is expected to get a little bit organized. National Hurricane Center giving this about a 70% chance for formation. That will drag towards the north, dragging moisture across the Bahamas, so some showers and thunderstorms will be in your forecast through the weekend. Your boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the east to southeast, 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be 3 to 5 feet near shore, but up to 8 feet offshore in those swells. Low tide will be at 8:54 p.m. Here's a look now at your national forecast. And now we'll look at your extended forecast through Wednesday. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe night and make it a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. To catch Our News on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Stay with us. The premiere of Shakespeare in Paradise, Small Acts, is up next.